So welcome to our monthly meeting, November monthly meeting, the last meeting of the year. So this meeting, we have a few different things we want to cover. So we want to talk a bit about the federal budget. We want to do it this year in review, so I'll be doing that. And then Adam will be talking about the AGM a bit and what we'll be doing there. Then Lawrence will be doing the news, and we'll go from there. So Ryan, do you want to start with the budget?
Okay, so we'll take a high-level look at what was in Budget 2025. I did read all 490 some pages, but that was a couple weeks ago, so enough has escaped me, but it puts together some high-level issues. So we'll focus just on climate things. That, of course, ties in with EVs. You'll notice a theme that there's been kind of a shift towards clean industrial policy, large-scale infrastructure. So seeming to be going more after the large emitters, which is a good thing. But we also have, personal transportation and stuff, and housing and things like that we got to think about too. So we'll see where that goes. A lot of emphasis on what they're calling ITC, so clean economy investment tax credits. So that is incentivizing industry to make cleaner choices. We'll see why I said cleaner and maybe not the most clean. And then, unfortunately, on the other side, there's some federal program spending. I mean, obviously, anyone on this call who works for the feds know that there's reductions in program spending across the board. This also, unfortunately, includes Environment and Climate Change Canada. So what are the major hits? So I did kind of a hits and misses here. Major hits, so the tax credit, that's good. So there is some incentive. So producing clean electricity as well as upgrading grids. And that's kind of a broad definition, but 15% clean electricity or 15% credit, tax credit. The good thing is that they didn't really cave on any of the industrial carbon pricing. Some of the wording is interesting where, they're strengthening it, but at the same time, there's other ways that potentially a company could demonstrate other ways rather than just a straight up cap. So it seems as though if they're investing in reducing carbon, and they seem to be on the trajectory to meeting those targets, they may not have to adhere to a cap. But of course, they're going to work, they're going to kind of work to see, I guess, in the end, do we need a carbon cap or an emissions cap for the industries? Or will all these other programs and incentives and things kind of just take care of that naturally? So we'll see. We'll see. Next slide. You hear me still? Yeah. Okay. Yes. Perfect. Okay. Thank you.
Sorry, Ryan. I was trying to interrupt you, but I guess you can't hear me on this microphone.
No.
You can hear me on this microphone?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that going to be vulnerable to greenwashing? Because it sounds like, I mean, companies were very happy to tell us 10 years ago about all the things they were going to do for climate change, and now none of them have come to pass. So if it's just going to be a promise and a wink, is there anything stronger than that in here?
I'd have to go back and read it word for word, but a lot of it is interesting, we'll say, in how it's worded. So yes, potentially, I do cover greenwashing just slightly on a upcoming slide. Okay. Yeah, so maybe I'll tie it into that slide. But yeah, that is a good question, and the short answer is we'll see. So in terms of what do they mean by clean electricity expansion, so we've already known that as part of the major projects office that they've deployed, small nuclear reactors, setting those up here in Ontario. I think a lot of us know that is the most expensive electricity to build, and The past hasn't been kind to cost overruns and deadline overruns on those. So we'll see if this works out. I mean, Canada has a good opportunity to become a global leader in modular nuclear reactors, but we'll have to see, right? There's also talk of new hydro, I believe, in northern Canada, which is good because it would probably reduce the need for diesel generators and things like that for northern communities. So that's interesting to see where that goes. We know in the northern parts of Canada, there's a lot of sensitivity around ecology and the natural world. So we want to make sure that that's done responsibly. Solar and energy storage, battery storage is mentioned as potential for this. They also want to continue with clean electricity regulations, but they're going to work with the provinces. So we know how that kind of went with the carbon tax over the past 10 years. So we'll see how this works out because we know that there are some provinces that are gung-ho on coal still and natural gas even here in Ontario. So we'll see. There's $4.3 billion available for those investments, and that's kind of linked to the carbon pricing on industrial scale. And then their idea is that this will make Canadian grid abundant and affordable. So again, we'll see, if we know hydro, wind, solar, and battery can certainly contribute to that, going down the path of nuclear and something else I keep seeing pop up is the term low carbon as opposed to no carbon. That kind of leans into the natural gas and biofuels part of it, which I have a few misgivings about. So next slide, please. So sustainable finance framework. So they are putting in some rules about sustainable investments, bonds, including green bonds, which we know can be successful. Changes to anti-greenwashing provisions. So I see someone had posted just a quick section here in the chat. So they had asked, could greenwashing could be litigated thanks to the Consumer Protection Act? So yeah, we'll see. That's why I put in there, we'll see where this goes because we know that was fought hard against, oddly enough, by the people who are probably the worst at greenwashing. So we'll see. And then climate aligned disclosure rules for investors. I think, to what's been said in the chat, I think maybe they're looking at, and there's another part in a different slide here of maybe kind of merging existing frameworks and rules and laws so that it isn't standalone. So perhaps, maybe the greenwashing stuff will just become part of consumer laws. So additional investment. So it's good to see some money being put towards some of this stuff. So $6 billion over the next decade for climate adaptation and infrastructure. So that would be grid resilience and all that good stuff. So that's good to see because it'll kind of go along with electrification, right? Just in general, is that it all needs to work together. This next one, 372 mil over 2 years for biofuels production. Anytime I hear the word fuels, I'm not entirely excited about that, but I guess there are some legitimate reasons for it. Expanded clean technology demonstration initiative, so that kind of goes back to the small nuclear reactors, and then strengthened methane regulations. So, as I said, there's been a lot of mention of low carbon technology and becoming a low carbon economy, which is different than a clean economy that we've been hoping for and talking about for the past 10 years. So certainly a little bit of a change there. But, they claim that they're going to make methane regulations tighter because we know that's a significant contributor to climate change and greenhouse gases, right? So again, we will see where that goes. So we get into some misses, and unfortunately, no mention of consumer rebates under the IZEV program. This slide says no new charging infrastructure funding announced. I believe there is potentially some money available in other umbrellas in it, but nothing specifically saying here's money towards charging. So yeah, it's for our group, certainly this is extremely disappointing. My personal belief is that because they're reviewing the EV sales availability standards, or the EV mandate as it's been called, I suspect we'll hear kind of more about a larger program under that. Whether that will include consumer rebates, I'm honestly not too sure. If you would ask me earlier in the year, I would have said 100% sure. I'm about 50-50 now. I know the Prime Minister has mentioned that he wants to move more towards a carrot than a stick when it comes to incentivizing green decisions, industrial and residential. So we'll see. I think we all agree that a consumer rebate is probably the most efficient way to get people into it. But as we know, there's also discussions around, do they allow finally Chinese EVs into the market? Do they allow European spec models in? So there is a possibility that if some other things work out very well in that regard and we get some affordable EVs, maybe it's not necessary to have rebates anymore. Next slide, please. Kind of dovetailing off the last slide and why I'm thinking, is it 50-50? Are these rebates coming back or not? Unfortunately, they are phasing out the medium and heavy duty EV rebates, we'll say over the next year. So that's pretty disappointing. And Transport Canada has signaled that they'll be consolidating programs, but what does that mean? Now, in terms of tax credits, maybe that will be the incentive, right? Is that I know that for medium and heavy duty, they were able to depreciate those assets quicker, so maybe there's something there, and maybe it'll come out in the wash. But it is kind of disappointing to see continued EV programs being canceled. That's for sure. So just the key misses out of those last couple of slides, consumer EV support is silent and charging infrastructure unclear. So whereas with previous government, the budget would include line items for these things, unfortunately, just kind of vague mentions of these types of things. Additional gaps. So energy efficiency missing. We don't really see anything specific for building retrofits. I know that, in Ontario, thankfully, the province, after a decade, has realized that they shouldn't have canceled those programs that were put in by the previous government. At least they're coming back to them, and there is money for retrofit, insulation windows and all that good stuff, heat pumps. Implementation uncertainty. So yeah, just as you've seen in the last couple of slides, there's not a lot of meat on these announcements. So there's legislation upcoming, there's promises of certain broad programs, changes. So what's that actually going to look like? And then biggest one that stood out for me, mixed environmental signals. There's a lot of tax breaks and plans for LNG facilities. That's pipelines, that's carbon capture, which we know, my personal opinion is that we should just bury the money in the ground, and it'd probably save us money in the end than trying to build out carbon capture. Who knows? Maybe there's a breakthrough waiting to happen and Canada's going to do it, but I'm clearly not convinced. And then also talking about shipping methane, or natural gas, as they like to call it, overseas. So, I mean, one or two views on that. One is if it's eliminating the use of heavier oil and things like that, is it better? But burning things in general, we know is bad, and we can't keep going down this path. And then another little thing that was kind of snuck in there was the cancellation of the 2 billion trees initiative. So this is something that was announced seemingly off the cuff by the Trudeau government, where they were going to plant 2 billion trees across Canada. I understand that they are significantly behind and unlikely to actually do it. So I think at this point they're just saying, okay, well, what's the point if we're not going to achieve it? But again, it just kind of leads into these mixed signals. So key takeaways. The strong stuff is that we're keeping industrial carbon pricing and potentially caps and working towards that. Again, that is the most significant emitting source in Canada, but we still have personal transportation and things like that can contribute as well as residential homes. So we can't forget that stuff. Weak part of it, again, consumer EV transition. What's happening with that? I'm hoping we'll find out soon. Opportunity, clean investment for the grid, which is good. It's definitely necessary all across every province and territory. And then the challenge will be, how are they actually going to implement this? And is it, the government is committed to the Paris Climate Accord. Will this be enough to actually do it compared to other programs we've had? We'll have to wait and see, I guess. So to wrap it up, what can we do? So it is a lot of, some disappointing things. I was just reading an article right before the call that says that we can't give up our fight against climate change. Government policy and mass worldwide changes are never a straight line. So we may be wavering a little bit here, but what can we do? So continue to support, selfishly, organizations like us. We're doing a lot more policy work, and maybe, I don't know if Raymond's going to talk about that at another point, but he was out today doing something with the city. There's also Ecology Ottawa, cafes. There's a lot of really, really strong organizations, just locally even, that are pushing a lot. So I encourage you to register, become a member, sign up for emails. The other thing too is contact your MP. So the MP is my MP is actually the Prime Minister. So I will be reaching out to him with my thoughts on the budget and just asking for some clarity on some of these points and what we can expect. The other thing I'll mention too is to try. It sounds bad, but a lot of organizations will use tool sets where you basically add your name and it automatically sends an email to your MP's office or your MPP or your city councilor. They're good, and it is good to support those organizations. Just talking with a lot of people in politics, unfortunately, those are kind of form letters, and they may be counted, but they might not be read because they've received hundreds of them and they might just more or less skip it. So if you have the time, it is good to write a personal note. It doesn't have to be long. And the other thing too, just contacting my city councilor about several issues recently, make sure to indicate that you are in fact one of their constituents, because they do pay more attention to people who live in their riding, because they need to represent them. Okay, so that's it. If you want more information, I'm not going to say I'm the expert. There are a ton of other organizations that I was able to gather some of this feedback from as well. The other thing too is if you look at the budget itself, there are some sections that you can probably pick out that are related to climate.
Any questions and comments before I give my comment? Okay, so I'm not very happy about the budget for a bunch of reasons. Oh, Craig, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, as someone who has been in politics, I was first name basis with Joe Clark and a few other people like that. Like I've been in politics way too long. Let me give you sort of to put a +1 on what you've said about the individual letters. It is absolutely important to reach out to these people and sort of say, and also reach out to your friends I think people often will see things like the highlight, oh, the budget was spent so much money on the whatever, and we have to really fight back against some of the conservative lies that are out there on social media. So I would, definitely, engage with your friends, engage with your politicians, and sort of make sure that they realize that, this was, a good compromise at best, and that the conservatives would have done a lot worse for the environment if they had gotten in. So at least it's better than what they would have done, I guess would be the way I put it, and at least support the liberals in that way. At least they're doing better than the conservatives would have done. So that's my comments.
Okay, so my comment. So again, I'm not particularly happy with the budget. I think that one of our tasks for this year is to lobby these people so that they get a bit of more common sense put into them. What let me hear, so that I would encourage you to, lobby your MPs or anybody you know that might have some influence. One of the things that came up, you probably noticed that there was no talk about oil pipelines, right? The budget discussion. However, there was a news story saying that there was a deal and that Carney and Smith had agreed on something, which is total fabrication, to be nice. There is no deal or anything like that. What the position seems to be is, if the private sector could find the money to do it, go ahead. We won't get in the way, but there shouldn't be public money in an oil pipeline in particular. Okay, so given that TMX had to be taken over by the federal government, I'm expecting, and given that there's, according to some calculations from Markin Heslop from Energy Media, there's about 1 million barrels of capacity that could be wrung out of the existing pipelines. Okay, so given that there's that much capacity that could be made available, there's really no reason for anybody to build a pipeline, and private interests aren't stepping up to do it. So if the Alberta government wants to sink money into it, fine. I don't want to see any federal dollars in that at all. Okay. Same with the same with the natural gas plant. The big issue I have there is that the government is basing projections for demand of oil and natural gas on the IEA's forecast, so the International Energy Agency. And you may have remembered that Buffoon down south complained that the IEA was being too negative on oil. Well, the forecast that they're using for natural gas assumes that we'll have consumption increase of about 50% between, I think now in 2030 or 35. I follow the space quite a bit, and I could tell you there's no country in the world that's going to be using that much gas, right? So everybody, India and China in particular, they're reducing and planning on reducing their consumption. Every other country, the poor countries, they're going straight to solar, right? They're not doing this fossil fuel stuff because it's cheaper to do solar, right? So I don't know where the demand is going to come from. So I'm expecting even the current terminal that was built at $30 billion, private money though, it's going to be a stranded asset. So building a second one of the same capacity just makes absolutely no sense. Okay. Anyways, that's my view. Okay. Anyways, we'll see. But I would certainly encourage you to, any opportunity you have, talk to your MPs, talk to anybody you can to try to get some common sense into the discussion. Okay. So year in review, we had a crazy year. Stuff that happened in the U.S. Obviously, lots of stuff there. The provincial and federal election, for me anyways, was very painful because both were in the winter, and it started off the year where lots and lots of work, and I was exhausted by the month of May already. So anyways, but we still did lots of events. We'll go through the events. I won't cover absolutely all of them. The ones where I'm the only one who participated, like today's OC Transpo, the Transit Committee, I won't go over those things because there are a bunch of other things that we did. But the events that we did as a group, first one was March 4th, was U Ottawa EV Day. Lesson from this one, which we should have known, don't do an event before April at least. We had a snowstorm that day. It was cold. We had surgeoners, actually, I called them the day before. They lent us 2 vehicles, which was great to see that a dealer was willing to help with such short notice too. They brought the cars too. We didn't even have to go get the cars. Okay, so it was good from that perspective. Now, there was an inside event where there was a panel. I was on the panel with, Ryan spoke earlier about cafes, so Angela from Cafes was there, and Ecology Ottawa, so William from Ecology Ottawa was there. We were on the panel talking about green stuff, and very interesting, very well attended. There were probably about, let's say, somewhere around 60 attendees, so that part worked really well. Now, the organizer is Dr. Sharon O'Sullivan. She's going on a sabbatical next year. So she's contacted me, and she wants to work with us on a few things that have to do with promoting EVs, okay? Her focus, she wants to focus on getting dealers on board, which is something we've talked about doing, so it's certainly something I'm interested in pursuing. It certainly has been a bit of an issue lately, but anyways, more about that in the new year, okay? Next event, this is another one where we had literally a snowstorm on that day. We did the Climate Fresk on March 30th. Very low attendance, okay, very low attendance. The fresk looks like this here, if I could, looks like that when you're finished, okay? So I'll just drill into it a bit more. What it does here is you see at the middle there, human activities, right? You see different things, industry, transportation, building usage, agriculture, and burning fossil fuels. That means aerosol emissions, CO2 emissions, et cetera, right? So it goes through that and shows at the end, I'll go back one here, way at the end, the consequences, okay, right here, in terms of climate change and that kind of stuff, okay? So very interesting to understand how these things relate to one another, okay? If you're interested in doing this, there's a gentleman here based in Ottawa who does these on a fairly regular basis. And there's one scheduled for soon. I'm not sure when exactly, but I think Cafes is involved in doing it. But anyways, very interesting to understand how these things work together. But low attendance, anyways, it is what it is. So again, you know, it's another event that was early in the year. Now, the Salon du Véhicule de l'Outaouais, actually, they didn't call it the electric vehicle show this year. They call it the vehicle show. Was not happy about that. But anyways, they had lots of EVs, though, a lot more than last year, ironically. You see the ID Buzz there, and there were a bunch of others, a very wide variety of EVs. There were test drives. We participated in a test drives with EVCO, and they had a total of at least 12 different models you could test drive, and there were vehicles from dealers. So not, for the most part anyways, I think there were a few exceptions, but most of them were vehicles from dealers, so we didn't have to use our own vehicles, which is great, right? So the attendance was not as good as last year. It's a bit of an issue with when this happened. It happened when all of the stuff in the US was developing, and you know, there was a lot of anti-EV sentiment. So anyways, we'll see how things go next year. After that, we did the Blackburn Hamlet Discovery Cafe in this very room. So Mike did the presentation. Pretty good attendance. It was a very interesting group of people, a lot of good questions. Then we did, I wasn't on this one, I was gone at that point, but we did in Kempville, North Grenville Sustainability Fair. Anybody have any comments about how it went? No? So I think it went pretty well. It's an annual event, and hopefully we'll do it again next year. After that, we had Earthfest Carleton Place on May 3rd. We borrowed 2 vehicles from the local Chevy dealer. We had an Equinox and a Blazer and did some test drives with that. And it went quite well also. We've been doing this for a few years. Then we did EcoFest Westport on May 24th. So that was, I think it was Mike that did the presentation there. And Kristen was the organizer for this. She's from Westport. She now has bought a house near Westport. So anyways, so it was a small event where they were talking about eco things, and we did a presentation. Next one was Blackburn Fun Fair just outside here. Repowered a whole bunch of bouncy castles, and here you see two examples. On the left-hand side, that's a GMC Sierra that was used to power a few different things. On the right-hand side, you see one Lightning that's powering 4 different blowers for one bouncy castle, okay? So lots of capacity needed for that. This worked quite well. We had 2 Lightnings and 1 Sierra, and that sufficed to power all the bouncy castles, right? So it was pretty good. Sorry? Our banner event. So then after that, we did the Westport Auto Show in Westport, obviously. Lots of traffic here. It's an auto show, right? So we were there with EVs. Now, after this event, the organizer reached out and they want to do something significantly bigger from an EV perspective, at least next year. So they want to put a bunch of EVs in the arena. So they had an arena where they had some older cars there, some classic cars. You could smell the fumes when they were in there. But anyways, so we're going to put some EVs in the arena, but they want to do something bigger. And the guy from Watercolor Land Arc, Steve Rolfson, wants to organize the equivalent of the all-electric show that they had in Vancouver in Westport, okay? So we'll see how that goes. They have done events before where they've had thousands of people. Exactly, like fully charged. So it'd be obviously a scaled down version, but so what we would do is something like the Thursday, Friday would be fully charged type stuff. The Saturday would be the auto show, and then the Sunday would be again fully charged, okay? Something of the sort. Anyways, we're not done organizing, and we still need to figure out what else we'll be doing. They actually went to the fully charged in Vancouver to scout out the thing, and to actually, they wanted those guys to come over and do it. It'd be great if they did, be great, but I'm not sure that they have the bandwidth to do that, right? Westport is surprisingly a fairly good location because it's in between Kingston and Ottawa and close to Montreal, so it's possible to get a fair amount of people. They've done some book fairs or book shows before. I think it was a book show anyways, where they had thousands of people show, okay? So potentially we could do something similar, yeah? Anyways, we'll have more on that in the new year. Then we did the Avalon Summer Festival. This event, I was surprised from this event. I thought it'd be something pretty small. This was the same people that we did the fresque earlier where we had no attendance, okay? This one, we had lots of attendance. One thing that was cool that they did here is they had a sheet of paper with all the booths except ours. Anyways, next year we need to be on there. So people would go to every booth and talk to people, right? So what I would like to do is to have something where if they want the stamp from us, they need to answer a question or something, right? Just to give a bit of education, get them talking, and see if we could get a bit of education out of the event. Now, at the event, on the right-hand side, upper corner, that's Adam's EV6 that was powering the, there was an arch at the entrance. Now, we had to use something else to start it, so we're going to have to work on this and figure out the best way of doing these things. You'll see there's another event where we had a bit of a problem. But after that, though, we had, that was Carl's at the bottom right-hand corner. That's Carl's Ioniq 5 that was powering the sound system. And he may have been powering something else too, I'm not sure, but at least a sound system. So anyways, there were a lot of people that showed, so I think it was Popcorn Maker. I think you're right. Yeah. So anyways, interesting show from an attendance perspective for sure. So Queenwood Heights Family Fun Day and Music Festival. We went there again this year. Got a car from Lightning from Jim Kay, powered 2 bouncy castles without a problem. And we had on the other side, so you see here Adam, for those who are online, you may not see him, the yellow jersey here. Or that's Adam drinking beer. You had to make sure it was working, right? But that's Adam's car that was powering the fridges for the beer there. On the other side, that's Carl's car again that was powering the sound system there too. So, anyways, we were able to power the event, most of it, anyways, with vehicles. So that went well. Less people at this event though, but still a fair amount of people. On the same day and the following day, we had Pride. So we had similar as what we had last year. We had a car with a tent, and of course, there's always lots of people at Pride, right? So it's an opportunity to talk to lots and lots of people. So I think that was a pretty good event. Lots of stuff this year, right? What's that? When was the Pride? It was August 23rd and 24th. It's always a Saturday, Sunday, and the Sunday there's a parade. And then after the parade, everybody is on Bank Street. We're on Bank Street with a bunch of other vendors. And this year, the parade sort of got interrupted, but a lot of people came on Bank anyways, so it didn't really impact us too much. Okay, so next we did a Taste of Wellington. This is another event that was quite surprising. This is run by the BIA, the Wellington, or not Wellington, but whatever the area is, Westboro BIA are running this, and it's an annual event, and they claim that it's the largest that type of party on the planet. Okay, whatever. Anyways, something of the sort or whatever. Anyways, it is very big, and we had lots and lots and lots of people. A couple of things. We had a Lightning, but it's a Lightning that had the basic features on it. There is an option that gives you a lot more power. So if we're doing events in the future, we need to make sure we have one with all that power, because we could only power one bouncy castle with the Lightning. We had the Ioniq 5 there. That was Kim's Ioniq 5 that was powering the other bouncy castle. A bit further down the street, there was the rest of us here with a few cars to talk to people. What I'd like to do next year is do something somewhat bigger, but on the other side of the street. Most of the people were going on the other side of the street, and we were on the sunny side where people didn't want to be because it was too hot. Anyways, looking forward to figuring out what we could be doing for next year on this.
Next year you'll be on the shady side. It will be kind of cloudy and
rainy. Probably, yeah. Anyways, just note that the option to give you more power on the Lightning is $1,200. It's really not a very expensive option. I don't know why they would order a truck that doesn't have it, right? So anyways, but they did. Then we did Carp Fair, so that was 4 days. We need to rethink this event. When I got there anyways, I waited about an hour to get my spot. Okay, we were there with cafes. We had paid like everybody else, but it took a while to get the spot. And I get the impression that what happens, and you know, this is experience. We didn't really know this. It looks like what happens is it opens at like 8 or 10 o'clock in the morning, and it's like a first come first serve type of thing to get a good placement, right? So if we want to do this again, I think we need to figure out how to get there much earlier to reserve a spot that's much more prominent, okay? This spot wasn't too great. There were some issues with some trucks blocking things for a while because of misunderstandings. Anyways, bottom line is we talked to a fair amount of people, but not as many as I would have liked, especially for the investment that we made in it. But we did split the cost with cafes. And we did a bunch of stuff with a truck. We were doing coffee and popcorn, and a few other things. Yeah. So anyways, it was still a good event to talk to lots of people. So on October 18th, we did a fun event for just us. We didn't get very many people participate, but it was a great day. this is at the museum. We finished at the museum. We started at the Canadian Tire on Industrial? No, Coventry, where they have chargers there. So we started there and then went on the Quebec side, did a run to see the leaves and all that, and went to Joe Patat to have the traditional, I guess, it's 2 years in a row, poutine, and then came back to the museum and took a picture. So, okay. Was fun though. It was a nice relaxing drive. So the other event we did after that, and this is Adam presenting there, this is Canadian Federation of University Women. We were at the Riverside Church across from Mooney's Bay, and we had a fairly good crowd inside and a bunch of EVs outside. Again, very good discussions at that event. And then that is it for events. Any questions, or did I forget something? I hope not. Okay, so Adam, if you want to do the AGM reminders.
Sure, thank you. And I forgot that there were so many events, and so this is a call out to all of our members listening now, you guys in the room and everyone online. We need some volunteers. We need some help with these events. Please come on out. It's always a fun time. We're just there to answer questions about what it's like to drive an EV. You already know. You're sitting there thinking like, oh, I don't know if I could go. I don't know if I know enough about it. I'm telling you, you do. I'm looking right at you. And I'm looking at the camera. But anyway, I'm looking right at you. I know. You know. You drive an EV every day. You know. Oh, nice. Yeah. So yes, please come out. Please volunteer. It's super easy. You put your name in the spreadsheet, and then Raymond emails you like a day or two before with like instructions where to go, where to park, and then you just come and you talk to people and you answer questions about what it's like to drive an EV. It's fun. Yeah, it really is. Anyway, so AGM reminders. I am Adam Manzer, Secretary for EVCO. You may recognize me from the 2 YouTube shorts that we have now on the YouTube channel. So hello to all 116 of our subscribers. So our next meeting will be the AGM. So that's January 26th, 2026, because we don't have a meeting in December. So come on out to the AGM. Henry, our treasurer, will be presenting the financial statement. Not strictly a budget, right? But it's a financial statement. It kind of, yeah. I've been a member of EVCO for 2 years now, and I have missed both AGMs for reasons so far. So this one will be new for me. So yeah, should be a good time. We'll be holding executive elections as we do. So Kristen, Lawrence, and Mike have ended their 2-year term. Lawrence has declined to stand again for election. I don't think we've heard from Kristen and Mike. I'm not going to speak for them. So we're going to be electing 3 new members of the executive. If you'd like to stand for election, send me an email. There's my email. adam.manzer@evco.ca, or you can also send it to info@evco.ca. Yes, there's a question in the crowd.
So what positions on the board and what do they do?
That's a great question. Okay, so the way the elections work, we elect the 8 members of the executive, and then we decide amongst ourselves who is going to perform what function. There's the president, the vice president, the treasurer, and the secretary, and 4 directors at large. The president is Raymond, at least for now, until someone deposes him. And he does, presidential kind of things and is the face of EVCO and makes decisions and hosts executive meetings, that sort of thing. The vice president, I imagine, would do similar things if Raymond were ever incapacitated. The treasurer, I think, is pretty self-explanatory. And the secretary, that's me. I'm still learning. I take meeting minutes and volunteer for things such as this, and generally try to stay organized, which is super fun task for me. So yeah, and then so we all also generally volunteer to give kind of presentations or things. You know, if we look back at the year, most of the presentations on the rally racing and I did one on power versus energy and that sort of thing. Like they're mostly given by executive members. That's not to say you must be an executive member to give a presentation. If you have an idea, and I'm looking at everyone online again, if you have an idea and you'd like to present, then please get in contact with us and we'd be very happy to have you present. Yeah, so is that, Lynn, does that answer you? Okay, thank you. Oh, I might want to mention that there is a monthly board meeting. Yes, there is a monthly board meeting. Sometimes even we have goodies, so that's always fun. Oh, and this was a bit of a surprise for me, so I'm gonna warn anyone up front who may be considering this. We have to register your name and address in a open access government database because we're a nonprofit. So no one's gonna find you because no one cares, but you will be there and findable. So that hopefully is not a deterrent. When is the board meeting? Good question. 2 weeks ago. It's yeah, so the second Monday of the month, and then usually EVCO is the fourth Monday of the month or last Monday of the month. Actually, it's the last Monday of the month because sometimes there's 5 Mondays. And then we get to decide if we have the board meeting on the second Monday or the third Monday. That's always a fun month. So yeah, it's usually 2 to 3 weeks before the membership meeting. And so we have 2 to 3 weeks to pull our presentations together, and we always do it yesterday. We're going to do a survey. I have proposed this. I want to do a survey next year. And so I'm warning everyone in the room and online about this ahead of time. Have a bit of a think about what you think EVCO should be doing, and that's kind of what the survey is gonna revolve around. As we saw, we had a whole lot of events. A lot of them now are talking, right? EVCO, I met EVCO 2.5 years ago here at the Blackburn Hamlet Fun Fair when they were doing test drives, and I did a test drive, and then I got an EV, and then like I was very excited to also give test drives, but that has really wound down this year. Like did we do any test drives at all this year? Like 1 or 2 events? Okay. Yeah, I don't think I did any with mine just because of scheduling, because I wasn't there. So and there's reasons for that, and it's totally understandable, and that's fine. So you know, we kind of want to know what the membership, what everyone wants EVCO to be, right? We're still gonna advocate for electrification of transportation. I mean, eventually that's gonna be done. Not till like 2075, I'm sure, but still, right? It's definitely, we're not the hobby group that we were 40 years ago, that we were, you know, putting batteries into trucks, right? So yeah, so we hope for your participation. That brings me actually to a side note. We are trying out a new mailing platform. So this month I did not email the reminder personally. We used a system called MailChimp instead. So I think, Ryan, we sent that out on Wednesday. I usually try to send it a week ago, like Monday, you know, a week ahead of time exactly, but I think it went out Wednesday, so about 5 days. So check your mailboxes. It may, for mine, it went into my updates tab in Gmail. I hope it didn't go into spam for most people, but it may have been kind of shuffled away because it was from an automatic mailer, right? So keep an eye out for that. Keep an eye out for the survey. Yeah, and so we'll welcome some feedback in that survey. So once again, I'm going to end here with the best car on the market. My emails, adam.manzer@evco.ca, info@evco.ca, or even just go to evco.ca and click the contact us page, that's a text box that we'll just send to info@evco.ca. So, and that's it for me. Is there any questions? I can't see the chat, but there's some new email alerts.
Speak up if you have a question.
Yeah.
One thing I'll say, one thing I'll say about the survey is, if you don't like doing test drives, don't tell us we should not do test drives. Okay, you see what I mean? There's a difference there. Tell us what you think we should be doing. Whether you want to do it or not is a different matter, right? So if you think test drives are useless, tell us. But if you don't want to do test drives, that's okay. You don't have to, right? So we want to know what you think is effective and what is less effective. Okay.
Date of the AGM.
Date of the AGM is the last Monday of January, which is the 26th. Anytime. Info. No, any time before the AGM, yeah, actually, yeah. Earlier is better, obviously, right? So, okay. We don't have to have a full slate. In the last few years, we've always had 8 people, and so it's been relatively easy. The other thing we do, by the way, at the AGM, just so there's no surprises, we pass a motion saying that we don't want to do an audit. Okay, that we accept an audit is not done. Why do we do that? It's because an audit is expensive, and an audit would cost about all the funds we have. So if you're interested in seeing all the details of all the financial transactions, we'll be happy to share it with you. We just like, or you could become treasurer, exactly. So we're happy to share all that with you. It's just that we don't want to spend a lot of money doing an audit when the audit doesn't bring that much value, right? Okay. No, survey has not been sent out. It'll be sent out sometime before the AGM.
Before the AGM?
Okay. Didn't you want to do? I thought you wanted to do it before the AGM.
I don't know if I'll do it before the AGM or because we're only going to have an executive meeting mid-January before the AGM. So maybe I will have it prepared and send it out at the AGM. Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so sometime January or February. Okay. So the news. So Lawrence, are you online?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Awesome. Oddly, the microphone on my screen doesn't say it's working, so I'm glad you can actually hear me. Great. Well, let's go to the first slide. Ford jumping on the heavy-duty electric truck bandwagon, not with an extremely competitive-looking offering, though. It looks like they're really kind of focusing on short-range depot-to-depot kind of transportation, coming in with like a pretty small battery. The large one is 392 kilowatt hours, which is only 314 usable in this case. And they make it also are going to be selling a smaller one. I didn't mention in the bullet points, but it's only like 250 or something like that, which isn't a lot for a Class 8 truck. So we'll see how they do. I think some of the offerings from like Volvo and others are a lot more compelling. If you're interested in this stuff, check out Electric Trucker on YouTube. He reviews these kinds of trucks and uses them, and actually, it's like his actual job. So, next slide. Hyundai still moving forward with expansions of their U.S. EV plant, quote unquote. They might build hybrids there, boo. Hopefully plug-in hybrids at least, but don't really know. This is the same plant that had the kind of crackdown by ICE, and that obviously did not make Hyundai very happy. They've sort of accepted an apology from the Trump government, and they're moving forward with expanding that factory. Yeah, we can go to the next item. Some not amazing news out of BC. although we know that their EV uptake's already quite high, but they've decided to drop their formal 100% EV sales target for 2035. And I think, what is the new target? I can't remember. Is there even a target at all? I didn't put it in the notes. And they're also ending their provincial rebate program, saying that future incentives should come federally, which so far that doesn't look super promising. So not great news for people in BC who were looking to buy an EV because they had pretty competitive incentives previously. But I'm hoping that we'll see price drops like what was actually seen in the United States after their incentive ended. We haven't seen that here, and I think part of the reason is because our incentive just kind of fizzled out. There wasn't like a big like, oh, it's over, and people are kind of waiting for it to come back possibly. Whereas in the US, it was like the incentive ended dramatically, and then certain automakers like Hyundai dropped prices by even more than the value of the incentive. So that was a huge win for consumers, and prices of EVs in Canada are now even less competitive compared to other markets, and they already weren't competitive. So it's not great for the consumer. I think if they're not going to have a incentive, they should dramatically end it, because that might actually cause discounts to take place. Go to the next slide. More EV growth in China, to nobody's surprise, I guess. Although interesting to see that PHEVs are actually declining already. PHEVs are kind of a big thing in China too, but EVs are growing, well, not just growing faster, EVs are growing and PHEVs are actually declining already. So interesting to see when consumers are given the choice, because there's lots of options for both in the Chinese market. A lot of them are increasingly choosing to just have one drivetrain, which makes a lot of sense when you have charging infrastructure in place. Why bother carrying around another fuel source? And I think we got one more item. Yeah, good news for Volkswagen EV owners, getting access on November 18th, basically to the same stations that all the other non-Tesla brands have access to. You can buy an adapter from Volkswagen for $200. That might be US. It's probably US dollars. Or you can just buy an A2Z adapter or another, aftermarket adapter, as long as it's UL listed. A2Z one's now UL listed, and I think it's the best value. Yeah, not much more to say about that.
I will remind everyone to get your adapters no matter what car you have, because Tesla is not the only one installing NACS pistols on their chargers. So it doesn't matter if you never want to give Tesla a dime of your money, you might as well get an adapter anyway, because there's going to be more and more NACS pistols out there for charging.
It's good to have the flexibility, even if you have a NACS car, to have the ability to use a CCS station just in case. It's better than being stuck without options in a situation that you might not have foreseen. I think it's good peace of mind. Also, at like the en route stations along the 401, if you like to use those stations, they've been updated, and now they usually have 2 NACS handles, 2 CCS, and 1 CHAdeMO. So if you have a CCS car, quite likely the 2 CCS stalls are going to be taken when you get there, especially if it's busy. If you have the ability to use a NACS plug as well, you're much more likely to actually be able to plug in. Already a good example of infrastructure locally that, other than Tesla, where it's beneficial to have an adapter.
Yeah, there's already one place, Loblaws on MacArthur. Half of the ports there are NACS and half are CCS. That's where you film your shirts, that's right. And also, they just announced at Mississauga, they've got a new On the Run location where they've got a combination of ports there too. So for those who have a non-Tesla, I guess, who have a CCS port, it's a great idea to buy the adapter. I was considering buying one, but I'm thinking that given what's happening, I'm probably not going to buy one for my Teslas. But anyways, I borrowed Craig's adapter for a little while, and I used it once. Yeah, I gave it back to him a little while ago. Anyways, past events.
Well, you've used it more than me, Raymond. I've had it for however 2 years, and I've used. I did use it once to try it out to make sure it worked. But yeah, I didn't even really need to use it.
Yeah, actually, the one time that I needed an adapter before that, it was a Shadamo adapter, actually, that I used almost 10 years ago now, probably about 10 years ago when I went to Peterborough, a long time ago, to do a presentation. Anyways, but aside from that, I've never had to use anything, but I do use the J1772 adapter on a fairly regular basis, but otherwise not. So anyways, November we did a few different locations. So Cadman's, that's across from the new chargers at Canadian Tire on Carling, right? So we did a Kilowatt and Coffee there one day, and then since then we are doing the rotation east and west. We're adding a south. Is it south or is it further east? Oops, further west. Sorry. So yeah, sorry. So next meeting, the 26th. This is the schedule that's coming up. So the next one, November 29th, we're going to do the fill the frunk like we've done in the past. So we'll have a number of different cars there, and we'll fill the frunks for the food bank. Then we're going to do Luna Crepes and Cafe in Canada, and then Nepean, and then Orleans, and then we'll repeat that throughout the rest of the season. Okay, so we've got them set up actually on our website up to, I believe, the end of March. Don't remember for sure. I think it's by the up to the end of March that we have it set up already. Okay. So, but that is about it for upcoming events. Next year, some of the things you're talking about, the Gatineau Auto Show, right? The Kempville event, which we did this year. Cafes is talking about doing an event sometime in May. Some of you may have heard me talk about this. So you remember the event we used to have at Lansdowne Park in September, and then we did at Just Foods last year. So Cafes is going to take that over, and they want to do an event probably in May. We're not sure at this point, but probably in May. Westport, you heard that they want to make it a bigger show this year, so we want to do that. Avalon, I think we should go back because it was quite a success last year. Pride is always very busy, and Taste of Wellington, same thing. So we'll do other events, I'm sure, but we'll see as we get feedback from the survey. We'll see what we do, right?
Yeah, that's right. Raymond reminded me as we get feedback from the survey. If you have community events, the community events we found are pretty good. So if you have community events in your neck of the woods and you think it's a good fit for EVCO, or you would like EVCO to join, absolutely. Well, I mean, email us directly or put that in the survey as feedback.
Yeah, we have one event that we've been asked from, James asked us to participate in, right? So that being said too, if you have an event where you just want a presentation, whether it's at work or community group, whatever, it's very easy for us to do a presentation. We just need to send 1 or 2 people, right? A bigger event, more complicated, need more volunteers and all that, but if it's a simple thing like a presentation to your local club, be happy to do that. We've done it time and time again, or we could almost do it in our sleep, right? So, and again, reminder about membership if you haven't joined. And I didn't check how many subscribers we have, but it's more than 116. It's at least 123. That's from last month, okay? So, and the shorts are here. The 2 shorts that we did, that Adam did, are there. And that is about it for today. So we'll do the roundtable now. Those who are looking at the recording, this is it for you for this month. If you'd like to participate in the roundtable, we do that live and we do not record it. So anyways, if you want to participate, you're you're more than welcome to join us.